All right, so today we're going to be doing the Phase 3 training. This is going to cover advanced reports and camper forms. So we're going to be taking a look at my demo database today. So to access advanced reports, we're going to hover over here on the green camper tab, scroll all the way down to access this advanced reports tool. Now, this is a great function that exists within CampSite because it allows users to search and create lists and reports on practically any criteria that exists within the database. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're creating a report in advanced reports is you're going to want to set the database year. So my database is currently set into the 2019 year, which means that I'm going to be pulling mainly information from the 2019 year. This is going to come in handy more specifically when you're adding campers to the reports, which we will be doing by adding sessions or statuses. So if I click on the sessions link, it will give me a pop-up box. This will show me all 2019 sessions that exist within my database. I can go in and add sessions one by one. What this will do is this will add enrolled campers to those within those sessions to my report. You're going to see it's going to auto-populate down at the bottom. If I were to come over here and select all sessions, this would give me all enrolled campers that exist within my 2019 year. So regardless of what they're enrolled in, I have 197 campers that exist in my 2019 database that are currently enrolled. If I click back into this and deselect it, I also have the option to add by statuses. So if I click into this, once again, I get a pop-up box. I can add campers with the alumni status, maybe canceled. If I select all, this will give me all campers in my 2019 database year that are not enrolled in a program. Now, one very common question we get is, well, how do I view all campers that exist in the database? To view that information, you would definitely want to select your most recent database year. So in this case, we're going to stay in 2019. We will leave all statuses selected, and we will select all sessions. This is going to encompass everybody. This gives me a grand result of 1,003 campers that exist in my database to date. So we're going to start building a report now. We're going to only concern ourselves with our enrolled campers at the moment. So we're going to leave all sessions selected. Now we're going to start adding different fields to the report. Fields are going to be different types of information that you're going to pull and add to this list. So to do that, you're going to take a look at this box. What you're going to see is last name and first name are going to appear here already. This is a default setting. This will be, these two fields will appear on every report by default. So I want to go in, I want to add some more fields. I want to report on a few more bits of information for these campers that are appearing on this list. So I'm going to click on Add Fields. We're going to see a pop-up window appears. From there, we're going to see we have quite a few tabs that exist up here. So we have some basic camper info. So I'm going to go ahead and add age. You're going to see that that field auto-populates onto the report. We're going to go ahead. We will add, let's add school. You can see you can add some camper info, enrollment info based on different years. While we're here, why don't we go ahead and add session names. As you can see, there is a vast amount of different fields that you can add here with respect to your camper reports. So we have age, school, and session name. I think we're good with that, so we're going to close out, and we can now have the ability to view our report. So your report will auto-populate in alphabetical order by last name. So if we take a look, we have Adams, we have some Adkins, Aguilar. If I want to reorder the report, I can do so by clicking on different headers. So if I click on age once, it will reorder this list based on the ages of the campers who appear in this report. I could click on school to reorder based on their school. and I can click on last name just to reorder them again based on their last name. So you're going to see we have a few settings with respect to our fields up here. The first thing we're going to see here is this forked arrow. So this forked arrow allows me to display multiple field values for this specific field. So what that actually means is if we take a look down here at the Allen kids, you can see Kelsey over here. She has about 4 or 5 different session names. If I double click on this, it will split up all of those session names so that the camper appears on 5 separate lines, 1 line for each value that appears in that field. So I'm going to double click on that. You're going to see that this arrow turns to green. If we scroll down, we'll see Kelsey Allen appears 5 times, 1 for each session name that exists in that field. Double clicking on that will remove that feature. We also have the ability to group based on field results. So if I were to double click on age, I'm going to sort these group results based on age. So I now have a group of 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. One thing you're going to see when you add this grouping control is you have this grouping toolbar appear up here. So you have a few controls here. We can show all groups or hide all groups. Hiding all groups will collapse them so you can more easily manage those groups. You have the ability to check or uncheck different groups. This is going to come in handy when you're using the report toolbar up here. You also have the ability to do it on a per group basis. And then you have the ability to add page breaks between groups when printing. So you'll see up here in the reports toolbar, you have a print icon. If this is clicked, you will simply just print these groups on different pages. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to remove this grouping control. We're just going to revert back to that regular list of 197 campers. Let's say I no longer need the camper session name, or rather any of these fields. I would be able to double click on that red circle to remove it from the list. So I double click on this red circle, it's just going to take away that field and update our results with all of the fields that exist on this report. Now let's say 197 results are too many results to take a look at one time. You want to look at a more specific population within these results. You'd be able to add filters to your report. So filters are going to narrow down who appears on your report. So I'm going to click on Add Filters. What you're going to see is we see the same exact fields that exist here. The only difference here is when you select a field, you're going to set a behavior to narrow down based on that selected field. So we're going to narrow this report down based on age. We're only concerned right now with campers between the ages of, let's say, 8 and 12. So we're going to select this filter. You're going to see once I add that field for the filter, I'm going to have to set a behavior. So depending on the filter that you select, you're going to be given different behaviors. In this case, for age, we have is between, is not between, is blank, or is not blank. So we're going to leave this to is between. We're going to set the age range. We're going to go ahead and add that filter. So what we can see now is that our results have narrowed down from 197 to 99 results because we're only viewing the campers between 8 and 12. Now, if I wanted to, I could continue adding filters. I could add as many filters as I want, keeping in mind that as I add more filters, my campers who appear on the report are going to decrease. So we're going to continue on. Now let's say I need to go tend to something else within my organization. I need to step away from the computer for a little bit, but I have done a lot of work on this report. I want to come back to it at a later point without recreating it. If I come up here to save as, I'm going to give that a click. I'm going to enter in a saved report name. So we're just going to keep it simple. We're going to name it Campers 2019 8 to 12. we're going to set a category. This category is going to be set in Advanced Reports Management, which I can show you a little bit later on. So we're going to save this towards Standard Reports and go ahead and save that report. What happens now is when I refresh my page or come back to the Advanced Reports page, I'd be able to access this report just by pulling it up on the Saved Reports drop-down list. Now, it is very important to note that saving a report will not save the exact results. It will save the search parameters. So if I come back in 2 or 3 months, my results might be different because I might not have, some of the 8 to 12-year-olds may have aged out, or some 7-year-olds may have aged in. If I want to edit the name of this report, I would go to the Info tab or Info button. I'd be able to edit the name here. I'd also be able to delete the report if I wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and save those changes. Now, since I created this report, I do have what's called admin level permissions to this report. Admin level permissions allows me to edit and save the reports. It also allows me to delete the report or assign different permission levels. So since I'm an admin, I'm going to come over here to permissions. I'd be able to go in here and give John the ability to give John admin status on this report. Once again, it would allow him to edit and save, delete, or edit permissions for other users. We also have a subscribe button up here. So this would allow me to start receiving email notifications based on this report. So if I click over here, I'm going to set subscribe to yes. From there, I'm going to have a frequency that I will set to receive this email. So I could receive it daily, weekly, or monthly. Let's say I want to receive this every week. At that point, I would set a time at which I want to receive this, a day of the week on which I want to receive this report, and then I would submit a subscription date range. So keep in mind, if you do leave this date range blank, you will receive a subscription report based on the frequency set for the entire duration that you exist in the database until you come and either delete the report or unsubscribe. Now I keep saying you're going to get an email notification. What actually exists in that email? So that email will contain an Excel spreadsheet with the most up-to-date results of the report. It will have a link directly to the report, and it will have a list of all changes that have been made to the report since the last email notification. So before we continue a little further, I'm going to give a minute for you guys to submit any questions. You can do that through the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel. If we don't have any questions, we're going to continue on, but we're going to take a quick little break. All right, so it looks like we're not getting any questions coming in. So we're going to continue on. We're now going to take a look at Advanced Reports Management. This is going to be located up at the top right-hand corner of the Advanced Reports screen. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to bring me to a brand new page. This will bring up all saved reports for which you have the admin permission level. So you can see right here in my database, I don't have too many reports, but we can see this Campers 2019 report that I just created. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to add a new report category. So I want to create a 2019 report category so I can add that advanced report that we just created to it. So I'm going to click on this link. We're going to get a pop-up box where I can just very simply add a title for my new category, click add, and we're going to see that it now exists here in as one of my viable reports categories. So if I were to double click on the pencil next to this advanced report that I just created, I would be able to rename my category, my report if I'd like. I also have the ability to edit the report in which it's saved. So we're going to send this over to the reports 2019 and update that report. I also have the ability to manage permissions to this report by double clicking on this lock icon. So if I double click on that, we're going to see all current permission levels for all users in the database. So I know over here I assigned John admin permission level to this report. Maybe he doesn't need it anymore. Maybe I want to give Greg and Matt admin permission. So I'm going to come over here, switch those permissions, update it, and those permissions have now been saved, as we could see from that green box that appeared up there. If I wanted to delete a report, I'd be able to do so by double clicking on the red circle, as long as the circle was red. If it's gray, that means that it's more than likely attached as a restriction to either a form or an enrollment option that would prevent it from being deletable. You would need to disassociate those restrictions to be able to then delete that report. As you can see, as long as no reports are assigned to a category, you have the ability to delete that category by double clicking on the red circle next to the category name. So now we're going to go in and we're going to do some mass permission changes. So to do that, we're going to click over here on the top right-hand button. Before you're either adding permissions or removing permissions, you need to first select the reports to which you're editing permissions. So we're going to select all reports, and we're going to go ahead and add permissions. We're going to add these permissions over here for Michelle. So we can either grant her read-only permissions. In this case, we're going to make her an admin on all of these selected reports. We're going to go ahead and add those permissions. We'll see that those have successfully been added. With the same respect, if I wanted to remove permissions from a user, I would want to first select all of those reports. I would select remove permissions, and I would select the user that I would be revoking them from. Once again, see that those permission levels have been saved. So we're about done here in the Advanced Reports Management tool. So we're going to go back to Advanced Reports to see what else we can do with Advanced Reports here. So we're going to pull up this Campers 2019 8 to 12 report that we were working on. As we can see, we still have our 99 results over here. So we're now going to take a look at the reports toolbar. So the first thing we have is a refresh button. Pretty straightforward. This is going to refresh your results. Maybe you had left your computer idle for a little bit. Refreshing results will just give you the most up-to-date results on this report. We have a print button. Once again, this is going to just print this report currently as it exists, unless you were to add those grouping results where you would then be able to print based on different page breaks set. You have the ability to send an email en masse from here. So if I actually click on the email button, I have the ability to send a family level email. As we can see, emailing families will send one email per family, regardless of how many campers the family has. You also have the ability to send a camper level email. This will send one email per camper. This really comes in handy when you're sending out either camper level or family level saved emails. You also do have the ability to draft emails completely from scratch from that page. However, I do not really suggest doing that because you have the risk of accidentally sending out an email from there. So we're going to skip actually sending out an email because that was covered in the phase 2 training. But we're going to continue on with this reports toolbar. So pretty simple right here. We have the ability to export this report to Excel. This would create a CSV file, which I would then be able to use to either carry over into Google Sheets, or play around with this Excel document to edit however I need to. I also have the ability to share this with different admin users within my database. This would be a good way to encourage them to subscribe. So if I click on this, you're going to see that different users within my database appear in this pop-up box. So what I can do here is I can select which users I want to send this share email to. I can attach a spreadsheet with the email to the email with the current results of this report. I could receive a copy myself, and then I have the ability to enter in a little message that I want to receive, to be received by my users. Go ahead and share that report. They will now all receive an email urging them to subscribe. So next thing we have over here is going to be documents. Documents are custom PDF files that can be generated with information pulled from your database using merge fields. This would be great to use for a hard copy, or if you're looking to mail information to your campers or families. So if I click on documents, we're going to see I have the option to include page breaks or not. And then I would choose, well, am I going to generate camper information sheets as a camper document, or my created brochure as a family document? If you want to mail out documents, you can use the label functionality. This will once again use merge fields that are created in the camper or family level label section that is on the admin tab. This is something that's pretty new. We have the ability to generate notes en masse to all campers who appear on this report. So if I click on this, I would choose first which category that I want to save this note under. From there, I'd be able to enter in whatever note I want, keeping in mind this will generate notes en masse for all 99 campers. Once I'm ready, I could go ahead and create those notes. Those would then be posted into the Campers Notes tab in the saved respective category. If I were to click on Family Map, which I'll go ahead and do that, this will geolocate all campers who appear on this report. So if I scroll in, we're going to see that the majority of my campers are concentrated within the tri-state area. So I'd be able to either scroll in, I can view a specific family's location. This would be helpful in setting up carpools or something like that. This would also allow me to really, it could be a useful tool to kind of determine where I need to increase my marketing. Maybe we want some more campers to come from Pennsylvania or New Jersey. Based off of this map, I would know that I need to increase my marketing in those areas. Continuing on, we have the ability to generate a zip file of every camper profile photo of the campers that appear on this report. So if I click on photos, I'm going to be given the option to choose a small file or a large file. Once I select that and click submit, it's going to ask me to confirm. What's going to happen now is I will receive an email with a generated zip file to the email address that I'm logged in with currently. You also have the ability to edit en masse through advanced reports. This is another huge feature within this tool. So if I click on edit, we're going to see that I only have the ability to edit certain fields. I can't edit age right now because age is controlled by date of birth. You wouldn't be able to edit enrollment specific information because that's based on an enrollment. However, as we see here, I do have the ability to edit school. So I'm going to go ahead and click school, and I'm going to start enabling editing for that field. What you're going to see is this field has now turned into a small text box for every single camper that appears on this report. So let's say, for example, I know that Dalton Adkins goes to Thomas Jefferson Elementary School. I'd be able to just go in and edit that accordingly. Maybe Jasmine goes to Thomas Jefferson as well. I also have the ability to set all rows to the same value. So let's say, for example, I know every single camper that appears on this report attends Thomas Jefferson Elementary. If I were to select this box, I'm going to select the field that I want to set to the same value. I would enter in that field's value and set all rows. So what this has done, this has now changed every single camper's field value for that school field. From here, I have the option to either save the changes or discard the changes if I do not wish to save my edits. Right over here, we also have the ability to generate a missing forms report. So I'm going to click on that. This is going to bring us to a new page where we can then generate a report based on missing forms for these campers. So we're going to see here by default, all of these options are going to be selected. However, I'm really only concerned with this, with my yearly forms. So I'm going to edit these options, run my report based on these edits, and I'm going to generate a report that shows all missing yearly forms for these 99 campers. So unfortunately, it looks like a lot of these campers are missing this form. Good news is from here, I have the ability to either print these results, I can export these results, or I can send a camper level email urging these campers to complete their reports, their forms. So from here, I would send a camper level email. I would have the option to include form due dates, and I would choose which parents I want to send this email to. From there, I'd be able to preview this email and go ahead and send that email to my families. Lastly, on the Advanced Reports toolbar, we have the ability to generate statements in mass. So if I click on this link, this would allow me to download statements for fiscal years, for different fiscal years for all families that appear on this report. So as you can see right here, we have a few different years that exist within this demo database. So I'm going to go ahead, generate these statements. So as you see, that statement generation has begun. I will now receive an email to my email address. That email will contain a zip file of all statements for all families on this current report. So that's actually going to wrap it up for anything that I have concerning advanced reports. We're going to take another minute to allow for questions to come in. Once again, in that questions box on the GoTo webinar control panel, submit any questions that you might have. If you don't have any questions, we're going to continue on into the form section of the training. But for now, we're going to take a quick 1-minute break to allow for those questions to come in. All right, so no questions came in, so we're just going to continue on, and we're now going to take a look at the camper form section of the CampSite database. To access this, we're going to once again hover over this green camper tab, scroll down to this camper form section. So right off the bat, what we're going to see is there are 3 different form types here. So we have permanent forms, yearly forms, and session forms. So permanent forms are going to be forms that families will only be asked to fill out once for the entire duration that they exist within your database. A great example of this would be a photo release. They're going to fill it out once. It will exist there until the family either no longer exists or the form is made inactive. We also have yearly forms. These are going to be created on a per year basis. This is definitely our most popular type of form or scope. You can see right here, we have a year dropdown that would allow you to create forms that exist within different database years. The last type of form that we have are session-specific forms. These are going to be forms available only to campers enrolled in a specific session. So if I wanted to create a 2019 form for the Camp Firewood All-Stars session campers, I would be able to do so from here. So we're going to go through, we're going to create a new form. So we're going to create a new yearly form. So we're going to click on this link here, and what we're going to do is we're going to get a pop-up box where we can control the form settings. First thing we have here is the name. We're going to set up the name for our field trip form. Next, we're going to choose the form type. So there are two different types of forms that you can create. You can create a printed form. The idea here is a printed form is a form that must be uploaded back into the system. What you would do, you would upload a file. From there, you would choose whether or not you want the parents to just download the form or re-upload the submitted form. So that would be controlled by this download only setting. If this is set to no, this would require the parents to upload the form back into the database to complete it. This would be a good way to perhaps get a signature, get a physical signature uploaded back into the database. If this is set to yes for download only, it will the parents would only need to download the form in order to technically complete it. If we set it to a web form, this would be a web form that would be filled out and submitted straight from the web browser. This would allow parent administrators immediate access to answers on that form. This would be viewable through the Campers Form tab. Answers submitted on a web form will be reportable within advanced reports. Answers on a printed form are not reportable within advanced reports. So once we set our form type, we're going to set a due date. So we're going to say we want this due, let's just say by the end of the year. Next, we're going to set our active setting. So this is a setting that controls whether or not this form is viewable by parents. So if the setting is set to no, it is hidden from view. If we set this to yes, this will be immediately available to parents. Next up, we have an editable setting. This just controls whether or not parents would be able to go in and change answers after they have first submitted this form. If set to no, they wouldn't be able to make changes. If set to yes, they'd be able to go in at their leisure and make edits to a submitted form. We have a notify on submit setting. As we can see here, if set to yes, administrative users who have opted into form submission notifications will be notified when this form is submitted. So this is a per user CampSite form notification. If you wish to receive an email for all users who have that notification set to yes, you would want to leave this set to yes. Next up, we have the ability to edit different categories. So this is really just going to organize how the parents see them in the parent dashboard. You don't have to add a category if you don't want to. You also have the ability to restrict a report based on a form. So you can either set it so that only the campers who appear on a report can view the form, or you can set it so campers who do not appear on a report see the form. You'll see if I select appears on report, or if I were to select does not appear on report, I would then need to choose a report restriction. So if I set it to campers 2019 8 to 12, I would currently be showing this form only to campers who appear on that report. In this case, it would be those 99 campers that we saw on that report that we created earlier. Once we do that, we have a display during enrollment setting. So if this is set to no, this would not be displayed during enrollment, but would be visible from the Forms tab. If I set this to yes, it would be shown during enrollment, and I would have a new setting that would appear in this pop-up box. If I make the form available during enrollment, I can then choose to either have it required to enroll. This would prevent enrollment unless this form is completed, or I can still just present it but not make it required, which means that the parents can bypass that form in order to complete the enrollment. Once I'm all done with that, I'm going to go ahead and create that form. We're going to see that the form has been added to the 2019 yearly form section. From here, I have three gray lines. This would allow me to reorder how these forms appear to parents on the parent dashboard. I have a pencil that would allow me to edit the settings for this specific form. If I were to double click on this magnifying glass, I would be able to preview this form. However, we haven't actually added any questions here, so we would just get a blank view. So in order to start actually adding questions, we're going to click on the name of the form itself. So you can see here we have no questions. We want to start adding some questions, so we're going to one by one click on this Add New Question tab. This is going to give us a blank space where we can then add the different questions for our form. So this is going to be our 2019 field trip form. So we're just going to add a quick header here. So we're going to name this header Field Trip Release Form 2019. From there, we're going to start adding different questions or different fields that we wish to be filled in by the parents. So we're going to add in this question, do you give your child consent to attend this 2018 field trip? Oh, sorry, that should be 2019. From here, we're going to choose the yes or no answer type. You're going to see you have a lot of different options here. Small text would give you a small text box, typically for about 100 characters. Large text would be more geared towards about 500 characters or a larger answer. A drop-down list would allow you to choose from different drop-down lists that exist in your database. Yes or no would very simply give the yes-no option. You also have the date option that would allow them to choose from a calendar. So we're going to choose yes or no. We're going to make this field mandatory so that the parents are required to fill out this field. From there, we're going to add some other questions. In this case, we're going to add the camper name. We will leave that as a small text box. We're going to ask for the parent signature. We're going to go ahead and add the date here, and we're going to select the date. Something very important to keep in mind here is that you always want to save changes as frequently as possible when creating a form. If you were to navigate away from the page, preview the form without saving those changes, any of your edits would not be preserved. So since I have saved those changes, I'm going to go over here and preview this form. This is going to show it to me exactly as the parents would see it. So you can see right here, Field Trip Release Form 2019. Parents would be required to answer all of these questions as indicated by the bold type. So the parent would have to go in, answer yes or no, type in their camper name, their signature, and the date. If we want to edit this form, we can return to that form by clicking on this link. So maybe I want to make date mandatory. I would be able to edit that. Maybe I want to switch the order of camper name and the actual consent question. I can reorder the questions and how they appear by dragging and dropping on the 3 lines for each specific question. Once again, preserving those edits by clicking Save Changes, I'd be able to return to Campers Forms to make any edits that I need to this form. Now, one other thing that's pretty cool here is I have the ability to move or copy a form. So maybe I want to move that field trip form to my Firewood All-Stars session form. Maybe only campers in that session are attending a field trip, so it doesn't need to be shown to everybody. I'm going to click on this link. I'm then going to choose the action. So we're going to move this action. We're going to see we're then going to be given the option to keep form submissions. So as we can see here, if set to yes, any existing form submissions will move along with the form to the destination. If this is set to no, any submissions will be deleted. I'm then going to choose which form I want to move. So it's going to be the field trip form. and I'm going to choose a destination scope. In this case, I'm going to select the session, and I'm going to then go and choose from any of my 2019 sessions that exist. Once there, I'm going to select my sessions, click Submit, and we're going to see that this form now exists in the 2019 Camp Firewood All-Stars session. If I wanted to manage my form categories, this is something that we kind of reviewed when we were creating the form, I can create them here. Now, once again, this is just a way to organize the forms and how they appear to the parents within the dashboard. So maybe I want to add a field trip form session, field trip form category. I can add it here, save that category. From here, I'd be able to reorder the order in which they appear to parents. I'd also be able to double click to edit the category name. I can also double click to delete a form category itself. So we're going to go in and quickly assign this field trip form to that field trip category. To do so, we're going to double click on that pencil next to the report, next to the form. I'm going to select that category, and we're going to go ahead and update that form. So that's actually going to do it for everything that I have to cover in the phase 3 training. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type them into the questions box. You can also give support a call. You can email support. We're always available to help you guys. So I'm going to stay on the line for a little bit to answer any questions that may appear. Otherwise, you feel free to disconnect if you don't have any questions for me. All right, so once again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot them over in the questions box in the GoToWebinar control panel. If not, you can contact support@campmanagement.com, or you can give us a call at the support line at 516-900-5532. I'm going to hang on the line for another minute or two. Once again, if you have no questions, you can leave the meeting whenever you're ready. All right, looks like we don't have any remaining questions. So I'm going to sign off. Thank you guys for attending today's webinar.